Yes, it was fun.
Welcome to Stargatesing, a Stargate gazing podcast. I'm your host, Mary.
And I'm your other host, Kathy.
And each week we review an episode of Stargate alternating between SG-1 and Atlantis. Hello.
How are you doing?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Excellent.
We've only been doing this like 5.5 years, and yet sometimes I'm like, microphone, what's that?
They do kind of need to be plugged in.
They do. And then I plugged it into the wrong port, and it wasn't producing any audio for the headphones, and I'm like, what's going on? It's because I plugged it into the wrong thing.
That would also do it.
It's fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
Fine. I am fine. I'm on spring break this week, although I still have work I need to do, which is annoying, so.
That is annoying.
Indeed. I'm hoping to get it all done today being Sunday, so that when spring break officially starts, which is tomorrow, I don't have to do anything.
That would be nice.
It would. Agree. But I have a recommendation letter to write and a couple lectures to record, but I need to finish my PowerPoint slides first, which are almost done, but not quite yet.
Gotcha. How long do you think it'll take?
I have no idea. Because I don't remember how far along they are. Also, I probably need to write a couple assignments too, so it's at least a few hours worth of work I need to do.
Okay. Ugh.
How are you? What are you up to?
Trying to find my garage door opener. I lost it a few weeks back. I have no idea where it is.
Great.
Yeah. I'm almost at the point where I'm going to give up and get a new one, but I'm still holding out hope. A little bit of hope I will find it. Because I will definitely find it right after I get a new one.
Of course you will.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So that's very thrilling, of course.
It is very thrilling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on the edge of my seat.
I know. Everyone's always wondering about my garage door opener.
Absolutely. Who wouldn't be?
Yeah. No, could have used a drill door opener closer. I don't know.
That's door?
The platform they're on is supposed to be some kind of drilling platform.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Team ShRRT and everyone else who's also on there.
Yeah, there was a lot of people involved in this one.
If that had been closed, they could not have a wraith queen in their midst.
This is true. Yeah, this is true. They could have locked her out, but they didn't, because they didn't have one.
Yeah.
What is this episode that we roughly segued into?
This is Stargate Atlantis, Season 3, Episode 18, Submersion.
Indeed.
Because they're submerged.
They are submerged for the entire episode.
Indeed.
Hence the name.
Yeah.
The episode starts with a recap. Teyla has wraith DNA. She can warn her people when they're coming and can tap into their psychic network. Maybe she can use that power to provide intel. Dr. Beckett,
we babies,
RSVP, will monitor her the whole time. She sees herself on a wraith ship, and then she tells them that they're all so pathetic. End recap.
They are all so pathetic.
Indeed.
Yeah. That's nice. We haven't had a recap in a while, I feel like.
We haven't.
So, yay.
Yeah.
Bringing back the fun ones.
Woo.
We start in a puddle jumper under the ocean. Weir is on this puddle jumper for reasons.
I thought that was weird.
It was very weird. I agree.
Yeah.
But she's on this mission. Maybe she was bored. Nothing much going on in Atlantis. Sure, I'll go for a little underwater excursion with you guys.
Yeah, it was like a whole big family outing.
Yeah. I shouldn't use the word excursion. That apparently now means war, so.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Okay.
Neat.
We'll cut that out, but yeah. Anyway, he ruined so many words.
Right?
Yeah.
Seriously. I don't think you need to edit that out.
Okay.
What have we got to lose?
That's true. God damn it. Teyla comes up to Rodney, who's sitting up front with the rest of Team ShRRT and Weir, and calls shotgun. Apparently she had already called shotgun, and Rodney now has to give up his seat. And then he goes into the back where there are a bunch of scientists sitting there.
Standard nerds!
Including Zelenka. He's grouchy about that. I don't know why. Because he's Rodney. He's just grouchy.
He is just grouchy in general.
He also still doesn't bother to learn people's names. There's a scientist there named Graydon that he calls Grayson, and then even more insultingly then talks about how he'd meant to hire someone named Grayson and not Graydon.
Oops.
Oops. They're heading down to a drilling station, a mobile drilling station. Rodney clarifies that they don't know exactly where it is on the ocean floor. They've just narrowed down where it is.
They knew its last known location.
Yeah.
But it is mobile.
Yeah, so sort of like when Zelenka was able to figure out vaguely where Rodney was under the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah. While that's going on in the back, up front, Weir's just chilling there, thinking about the drilling platform they're looking for. Not listening to anyone, supposedly. ShRRT thinks it won't take much longer. They've just passed a thermal layer, and he's got some readings. Weir is excited about the potential of limitless power from beneath the ocean. Suddenly, they're there. There it is. They find it. They park their jumper, and then we see a scene of the eyes of a wraith queen opening. And that's credits.
That seems bad.
Yeah.
I noticed Dr. Beckett is still in the credits. I watched them this time to see if he was.
I think I let them play, but I wasn't paying attention.
Fair.
But, well, probably till the end of the season then, I guess.
Probably. Presumably. Yeah. After credits, the jumper has docked. Everybody gets off onto the drilling station to do whatever their various jobs are here on the drilling station. Rodney tells Dr. Weir that he's got all systems online and they're functioning at full capacity. To be fair, the thing did wake up on its own as they approached, so I don't know how much work he had to actually put into that, but he reports back that that is what's happening. Dr. Weir asks if that means power generation is ready, and Rodney says not quite, but it could be if they wanted it to be, but she says no, slow down. The ancients surely abandoned this thing for a reason, so maybe they should figure out what that is before they start turning the actual drilling on.
They just had an episode where somebody turning something on without knowing what it was caused major problems.
Yep.
What is he even thinking?
Right? Yeah. Especially because this is drilling directly into the planet's crust, so presumably this is like the very deepest layers of bedrock that they're trying to break through with this thing. Neat. Elsewhere, ShRRT, Ronan, and Teyla are walking down a hallway. Teyla thinks that they've been down this hallway before, but Ronan thinks all the hallways look the same, so who knows? But ShRRT says he's got an uncanny sense of direction that's going to get them through to wherever it is they need to go. But then it becomes apparent that they are definitely lost. Suddenly, though, Teyla thinks she feels a wraith presence nearby, so that is, of course, disturbing to everybody. She's not sure, but she thinks it's on board the drilling platform. So that's bad. ShRRT tells everybody over the radio to drop what they're doing and get back to the control room immediately.
And they do.
Yeah.
Rodney insists they did a life sign scan when they came aboard and there was nothing. There's no one there but them. But Teyla is insistent also that she is sensing a wraith getting closer. Rodney's like, maybe it's the underwater pressure messing with your mind. They check again. Rodney sees no life signs. Weir says, well, if they were hibernating, they wouldn't show up. And Teyla again says, I am sensing something. I know this. Rodney, for some reason, insists, no, Tayla's wrong. Even though she's never been wrong before, she says. Teyla says she can prove it, though. She could reach out with her mind and establish a link, like we saw in the flashback.
I mind to your mind.
ShRRT's like, hold on, maybe we don't do that. But Teyla says, no harm, no foul. If there's no wraith, nothing happens. But if there is a wraith, we do need to know that. So they're going to do that.
What could go wrong?
Nothing could go wrong.
Dr. Beckett there to monitor and keep her at least a bit sedated.
Yeah. What is Rodney's problem?
I don't know.
Sometimes he's such an ass for no reason.
He is. Yeah.
Like,
don't
he's
argue with Teyla.
Experienced Tayla's senses before. Like, what?
Yeah. And just because there wasn't a life sign before, as everyone pointed out, if the person or if the wraith was hibernating, they wouldn't have detected them. So
yeah.
Clearly it woke up. He or she woke up after that initial scan. But whatever.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's going to go great.
Yeah. They've found some kind of a bench for Teyla to sit on, and everyone just stands around her in a semicircle watching her meditate, so that's weird. She says the briefest of contact will determine whether she's right or not. And ShRRT asks her to not stick around any longer than she absolutely needs to confirm whether or not there really is someone there and where they might be. Ronan has his gun pulled out ready to stun Teyla if anything weird happens. So she goes into her meditative state and then all of a sudden comes back out of it and says she was mistaken. There's nothing there, even though she just said she's never been mistaken before. Now suddenly she's mistaken. And she apologizes. Everyone says there's no reason to be sorry. It's just good to know that you were wrong. ShRRT makes some reference to the abyss and pressure being able to make you nuts. I also didn't understand the reference because I've also never seen the abyss. Teyla was as confused as me.
I haven't watched it either, but I've read about the production of it, which also seems nuts. But apparently the people in the movie were nuts too. I don't know.
Explains a lot.
Maybe.
About as much as ShRRT explained.
Yes, I know nothing about it except for how they made it. So
Fair. So everyone gets to work except for Dr. Weir, who doesn't officially have a job here, which did once again make me wonder, why is she here? So she tells ShRRT to put her to work in some way, however he needs her. And she's going to break up into a team with him while Ronan and Teyla go off on their own, and they're going to go do a little bit of exploring.
I did appreciate her either way or either way joke that she made. Because ShRRT was like, Elizabeth, you're with me or I'm with you, however you want to put it. And she's like, either way or either way. It was very funny. I enjoyed it.
I somehow didn't even notice it.
It's worth her being there just for that.
Fair.
That's why she went. She's the comic relief.
Surely so. Yeah. Dr. Weir, famously known for her comic relief.
Yep. ShRRT and Weir are doing their part of the exploring, talking about how strange it is that Teyla was mistaken. And Weir's like, well, maybe you're right. Tayla's just experiencing the effects of pressure. ShRRT says, hopefully not as bad as that guy in the abyss. One day I'll watch that movie. Ronan and Teyla are strolling along their corridor. He's making small conversation. This place is big. What's going on? He wants to know what's wrong with Teyla, though, because she's not talking, which is unusual. Tayla's like, have I made you uncomfortable with my silence? Ronan says no. She moves in closer to him, and it was weird. You could tell something was off.
Yes.
She's like, your friendship is very important. I'd hate to do anything to make you uncomfortable. And then she puts her arm on his shoulder, which I feel like would have made him very uncomfortable because of the way she was acting.
Yeah,
it made me uncomfortable. But he's like, oh no, we're good. And then she beats the shit out of him.
Yep.
And knocks him unconscious.
Yep.
Then she heads over to some terminal she finds and starts pushing buttons.
Yeah.
Totally normal thing that Teyla would do.
Nothing can go wrong when you start pushing random buttons.
Nothing.
Nope. Elsewhere, we're with ShRRT and Dr. Weir. He radios to Rodney to ask what's going on because the lights have gone out. Rodney seems to have power in the control room where we see him next, and he says he doesn't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? There's power in here. But ShRRT says that they just lost their lights.
I've lost the bleeps, I've lost the sweeps, and I've lost the creeps. The what? The what? And the what?
Rodney is surprised. That is news to him. That's also news to Zelenka, who they get on the radio, wherever he is. So they're gotta figure that out. That seems bad. ShRRT is insistent they need to know what's going on as soon as possible. The station's been idle for a few millennia, so McKay's not too worried. He says it's bound to have a few weird things going on, like blown fuses and whatnot. And he says that he'll have power back online in a minute. Just hang in there. ShRRT radios to Teyla and Ronan to try to figure out where they are, but of course they don't answer because Ronan's unconscious and Tayla's being weird. He tries again a couple times, and when he's not able to get them, he tells Rodney that they've lost contact with Ronan and Teyla and asks if he knows what their last position was, but Rodney it does not because their sensors are out. So that's great.
Strange.
Yeah. But he did determine where the power went down and tells them the exact location with the grid. And it does happen to be where Ronan and Teyla had been heading to when they were going off for their little exploration. So ShRRT says he's going to meet them there. And by them, he means Rodney and I guess whoever he decides to bring with him. Or not, because he instead just goes and sends some people to meet them instead.
Rodney then orders Graydon and Dickinson, whose name Rodney also doesn't really know, to check out the jumper. See if the jumper sensors can find all of their people, since they don't have any sensors now on this platform. And they're like, cool. And I was like, nice to know you guys.
Yep.
The two
right?
randos with speaking roles in this episode.
Two randos with speaking roles whose names nobody knows.
Right.
What could go wrong?
Nothing's going to go wrong. They're definitely not going to be deadened in any way.
Nope, definitely not.
Then we get a shot of the Wraith Queen outside swimming in the deep ocean.
Yep,
And that's weird.
it was.
Because I was like, isn't it really? Wouldn't she be crushed?
Yeah, I almost missed it too because it was a big, like, landscape type of screenshot with just a teeny tiny Wraith Queen in the lower corner.
Yeah.
Swimming.
Then Rodney catches up with ShRRT and Weir. Teyla continues pushing buttons. Then she opens a panel in the controls and shoots the hell out of it.
Yep.
A gun is not a weapon, it's a tool.
So no one else can fix what she's done. They hear the gunfire and head in that direction. And Rodney's like, yes, let's race toward the gunfire. And Rodney, we're 3 years into this. You know that's what you do.
Right? Why would he be surprised about that
Yeah.
at this point?
Then we get one more cool shot of the Wraith Queen coming out of the water. Close up of her face as she gets out of the water. It was really cool looking.
Yeah.
Creepy. Yeah. So she's arrived.
In yet another hallway, ShRRT radios to Ronan and Teyla. Once again, he and Weir and Rodney are all there together trying to find them. And there's no answer, but as they come around the corner, there's Ronan, just waking up. They ask if he's okay and who attacked him, and he says it was Teyla. So, obviously, that's not great. Dr. Weir says that she wants everyone to stay exactly in one place until they figure out what is going on. They never actually specifically order that, but I'm assuming at some point they said that over the radio.
I assume so. Wraithfula? Have we had this conversation before?
I think we might have, yeah. I don't remember. Sure, Wraithfula, yeah. At the computer that Wraithfula is using, she pulls up the schematics of the station and is studying them. We get a brief scene of that. Elsewhere in a different hallway, Dickinson and Graydon are working, and we see the force fields activating around them, as well as a few other areas. Zelenka calls to ShRRT and Weir over the radio to tell them about the emergency force fields being activated throughout the station. So, that's bad. ShRRT asks Zelenka if he can make it back to the control room to try to figure out what's going on, and he thinks that he can, so he's going to go do that. Rodney is asking himself what Teyla might be doing by trying to activate all these force fields. Who knows? ShRRT tells him and Dr. Weir to get going back to the control room as well, and he and Ronan are going to continue on to try to find Teyla.
Teyla's still in the same spot at that control platform that she's just shot up, and she collapses for a moment, but wakes up and it's clearly not the same person controlling her body anymore.
Nope.
She's confused and looks down at her gun, which has been fired a lot,
Yes.
spent of its bullets. She hears someone coming, turns around, and aims her gun without any bullets in it, because that's all she has in her hand, at whoever's coming, but it turns out it is ShRRT, who is also pointing his gun at her. She drops her pistol when he tells her to. ShRRT's like, what is going on? And Teyla says she has no idea. Then we're with Weir and Rodney and Zelenka. They're trying to figure out what's going on now that they're back at their other control station. Teyla has scrambled a bunch of codes. ShRRT radios to them to let them know they've got Teyla. And that she doesn't know what happened. She has no memory at all. So Weir's like, all right, well, now that I've told everyone to gather in the same spot, I'm going to come back to you. That's what they're going to do.
Indeed.
Or she's going to do.
Yeah.
Well, Rodney and Zelenka will continue trying to fix whatever Teyla's broken.
Indeed. Especially the sensors.
And what did your sense ores show?
Yes.
So they can figure out where the hell this Wraith Queen is, and if there's more, presumably. Yeah. They are, I don't know, somewhere that there's a bed. Teyla's there apologizing to everybody. Dr. Weir tells her not to worry about that and asks how she's feeling. Teyla says she's fine, but it's disturbing to her, obviously, that she caused some damage and injured Ronan and everything that has happened, and yet has no memories of it whatsoever. The last thing that she does remember is, during her meditation, attempting to find a wraith, and then suddenly waking up with her gun in her hand and ShRRT right behind her with his gun in his hand. She sensed the most powerful mind she's ever encountered before blacking out, and so she thinks that it's got to be a wraith queen of some sort. ShRRT hates queens. But she also did, in that very brief moment, manage to sense great power and experiences of many centuries and hunger, and then nothing. So there is, in fact, a wraith here. Rodney was wrong. Teyla was right.
Yeah.
As we already knew. ShRRT wants to know why the Queen would use Teyla to cause all of that damage, and also why the life signs detector didn't pick up the signal, which was already covered that she probably was hibernating when they did their initial scan, but I don't know why people keep ignoring that fact. It's just kind of weird, especially because they did make reference to it at the beginning of the episode, and then everybody is like, oh, I don't know how this could have happened.
It's a little bit strange.
It is quite. Everybody else is going to go off and look for her, except for Dr. Weir and Teyla, who are going to hang out here because they kind of want to be careful with Teyla, even though she's not too thrilled about them leaving her behind.
Yeah. And then we're back with our red shirts, Dickinson and Graydon, who are still trapped, trying to get out of their force field prison. Rodney radios to them. Oh, I did it. I didn't call him radio.
Good job.
Thank you. He asks how it's going, and they're like, we're trying, but it's not going great. Graydon does say to Dickinson one day he's going to call Rodney Dr. McCoy.
That'd be hilarious.
It would be very funny.
Well, we're going to have to look like physicians.
And then a force field shuts off. But they didn't do it, or at least they don't think they did. But Dickinson says he's happy to take credit for it. And they split up, which is of course a good idea. He tells Graydon to go check it out. Graydon heads towards the puddle jumper. He spots some water on the floor on its way to the jumper. He doesn't see anyone around, but then suddenly, out of nowhere, there's a Wraith Queen in front of him. Ah. Goodbye, Graydon.
At one point in this scene, Dickinson did say that he knows a Grayson, and he was surprised that Rodney didn't hire him. So at this point, I was thinking, oh, well, now he can hire Grayson.
That's true. It just kind of sucks for Graydon. Like, you find out your boss barely knows who you are, doesn't respect you, meant to hire someone else.
Didn't mean to hire you, yeah.
And then you died.
Yep. It's a bad day.
Yeah.
It's a bad day for Graydon.
Yep.
Out in some control room, Zelenka is there trying to figure out what the Wraith could possibly want with the ancient drilling platform and what the hell's going on. Also, how did they even get here? Rodney asks if maybe there's a ship nearby, but Zelenka asks how that could possibly be. They're underwater. But who knows? Teyla's spidey sense works for miles, Rodney says. Now he believes in her. They decide to do a scan with the external sensors, which conveniently are working, even though the internal scanners are not. So they tell some guy, his name is Coleman. Have we met him before? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I think she's a she.
Oh, is she? Okay.
I think so.
Rodney tells Coleman to take a look at the external sensors, and Coleman asks for what? Rodney says anything.
Yeah, I think I meant to look her up because I was like, have we seen her before? Oh, I can't remember.
Isn't Coleman supposed to be the annoying person that was in his head for a while, but this was definitely a different actress?
That was Cadman.
Oh, that was Cadman, yeah. Never mind.
You're just like Rodney. Don't know anybody's name, Mary.
I don't. I'm shitty with names. I don't even know my students' names, and we're halfway through the semester, and I'm trying really hard to learn them, and I don't know them as well as I normally would by now.
I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
Students. They're all the same anyway. So I'll call him Bob.
Yes. I'm sure that would go over well if I started doing that.
Yes. Back in the bedroom?
Yeah.
Sure. Back in the bedroom, Weir and Teyla are talking. Weir asks how she's doing. Teyla says she's very ashamed and that she should have been more careful. Weir's like, well, You didn't know you were touching a Wraith Queen's mind? Super powerful. That's not enough for Teyla to excuse herself, though. But Weir points out that if she hadn't done that, they might not have known what they were dealing with for a long time. And now they do, so thanks for that, Teyla. Teyla would like to continue to help, though, and says there is no risk. But Teyla, there might be a risk. Teyla is like, do you think I'm under her control? Weir's like, no. Teyla's like, well, then you think I'm still vulnerable in some way? And yes, Teyla,
Yeah.
that is the issue.
Why is that surprising to you, Teyla?
Yeah. But Teyla insists that the Wraith Queen only got control because Teyla opened her own mind to her and wasn't prepared, but this time she'd be ready. And for now, though, Weir says the best thing she can do is let Ronan and ShRRT find the Wraith Queen. So Teyla says, fine. I'll just sit here like a lump.
Indeed.
Being useless. Ugh.
Then we get a brief scene of Ronan and ShRRT sneaking around the hallways. And then we're back with Dickinson. He hears somebody moving behind him and says it's about time because he thought that Grayson, got lost. But when he turns around, there's a queen there. So that seems bad. He tries to radio to ShRRT, but then she starts choking him. And so that's obviously bad. ShRRT hears him asking for help and asks who's calling.
Oh.
But Dickinson can't answer, so ShRRT asks Rodney if he has any men unaccounted for, and he tells ShRRT about the 2 people that he sent back to the jumper. ShRRT says, I think they're in trouble. What made you think that? He asks Rodney if he can get the force fields down so that they can try to get to the jumper themselves and help out. So Rodney's going to work on it.
Teyla is not enjoying her not helping still. She says that the Wraith presence keeps getting stronger, that the Queen is aboard the station, and she must warn them, but yes? Like, didn't they already think she was on the station? Anyway.
Yeah.
Weir radios to ShRRT to let him know they're sure the Wraith is aboard. ShRRT runs back towards the jumper, lets Ronan know he's doing that, and asks him to meet him there. Ronan's like, cool, on my way. He runs into a force field, though, unfortunately. Not literally, unlike some other folks in this episode do. He hears over the radio someone still yelling for his help. It's Dickinson, but he doesn't know that still, I think. Ronan then runs literally into a force field. I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know. They both radio to Rodney, though, to be like, get this damn force field down. Zelenka's working on it. He can only do one at a time, he says. But then finally he gets it. The force fields go down. Rodney says the jumper sensors should be able to locate the 2 people who they're going after. So ShRRT heads to the jumper, where he also sees the water spots on the floor. And then he sees someone sitting in the seat of the jumper, obviously turned away from him, towards the outside, because this is how you do this sort of scene.
Of course, yeah.
He comes up on Graydon, turns around, and uh-oh, he's a completely fed upon Wraith victim.
Indeed.
He dead.
Very dead.
He's still
Juicy.
He reports this to Weir. She asks about Dickinson, and ShRRT says there's no sign of him. He's going to try to see if he can find him using the sensors, but he cuts off before he can actually finish saying that to Weir, and they are concerned. As they should be.
Yes, but then we are back with ShRRT so that we know what's going on, even though they don't. He seems to notice that there's somebody behind him, so he spins around, and yep, the Queen is right behind him, hissing at him. He tries to fire at her, but she manages to basically cripple his hand in agony. His fingers are curling up on his trigger hand, and he seems to be in a lot of pain. He drops his weapon, which doesn't fall all the way because he's still got it on a strap, but still. Yeah. She says, you are ShRRT, and somehow knows he's the one that can fly this ship. I was wondering how she knew that.
She probably extracted that information while she was extracting their life forces.
That's a good point. Good point, yes. So she says he's going to return her to the surface and tells him to kneel. Rodney continues to try to get ShRRT on the radio. He asks what ShRRT has and if he can hear him. But, of course, he is not able to answer. Rodney and Zelenka look at each other worried, and elsewhere, Teyla and Weir look at each other worried, because apparently they've been listening in on the radio as well. Then we're back with the Wraith Queen, and she says that that ShRRT is going to fly her to the Stargate so that she can return to her people. As ShRRT is still sitting there trying to fight against the Wraith Queen's control, Ronan appears behind her, and he shoots. But instead of shooting her, he manages to take out I guess we call it a windshield. We've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
I don't know what else we would call it, of the puddle jumper. And because the puddle jumper itself that part of the puddle jumper anyway, was submerged under, I don't know, thousands of feet of water or whatever. Tons of water comes rushing in and knocks everybody out.
Yeah. Did he miss on purpose?
It sounds like he didn't later.
Okay. Because I was like, well, that was a weird choice, Ronan.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
Okay.
Because I was also wondering, why would you destroy the jumper? That would be stupid, but...
Yeah. But also, how'd he miss her? It's Ronan.
I don't know.
I know. Anyway.
Didn't make any sense. To add more drama to the situation, that's how.
Could she have secretly mind-controlled him to slightly miss?
Possibly?
I don't know. Sometime later, I don't know how much later, ShRRT wakes up. He's on the floor, all wet.
Why am I drippings with goo?
So at least the whole station didn't fill with water?
Yeah.
Rodney is radioing to him. I am doing so well with that today.
Yay. Only took a few years to get there, but
yeah. He's like, ShRRT, respond. And ShRRT's like, I'm here. Woo.
Yeah, he's not that excited about it, no.
Zelenka is also on the radio and says they threw up emergency force fields because the section he was in was flooding. So I guess they force fielded it off further towards the jumper.
Yeah, I'm glad they addressed that because I had been wondering about this.
Yeah. Rodney explains he was thrown clear by the force of the water, so good job. ShRRT sees Ronan laying down near him, and Ronan wakes up and says, I missed. So yeah, you're right. ShRRT's like, yes, I saw that. They ask still if anyone has seen Dickinson, but what they actually spot is not Dickinson, but the Wraith Queen, who is also unconscious nearby. Ronan is super ready to just kill this Wraith Queen.
Of course.
And I'm sort of like, maybe just let him. He's like, I'm not going to miss now. But ShRRT stops him because they don't have the jumper and they don't have communication with Atlantis. So maybe she can help us get out of here. So I guess they're going to try to find out how she got there and whether they can use that means to get out of there.
Indeed.
Take her prisoner. Nothing goes wrong, I'm sure.
Yep. Nothing could possibly go wrong. So sometime later, I guess they're in some sort of infirmary because they've got her strapped to a gurney with an IV in her arm, her being the Wraith Queen. And so they're sedating her, and they've just woken her up to have a little bit of a chat. And not only do they have all of the straps and sedation as a precaution, but of course Ronan is there with his weapon pointed at her as well. And so Dr. Weir tells her that going to tell them everything they want to know. And the Wraith Queen is basically like, why? In exchange for what? There's no negotiation here, though, according to Dr. Weir. So Ronan once again asks to just be allowed to kill her. But of course, they're not going to do that. They start questioning her about things like how she got aboard the station. Are there any more of you? All of that. But she tells them that they're all about to die. And they ask if she wants to elaborate on that. But that's all we get of that scene.
Oh, Wraith Queen. Then we're in the control room of the platform. Zelenka reports to Rodney that the force field should stay up until Atlantis sends a rescue jumper, but they don't have communication still. Rodney regrets not listening to Teyla sooner. That's right, Rodney.
Yeah.
Learn that lesson. Zelenka, though, tells him it's not his fault. And it's true, he did not invite a Wraith Queen here. That's not his fault. But he's blaming himself, too, for sending those men, whose names he probably doesn't remember, back to the jumper. Zelenka's like, well, the sensors didn't show anyone there. And Coleman is like, I don't think there was, actually. I think the Wraith got here after we did our initial scans. She's used the external sensors that were working to find a Wraith cruiser buried in the sand. Rodney radios to everyone else to get back there. He's got some answers. When they get there, they're like, wow, a Wraith cruiser. So it's been here a very long time. Give or take a few varies, Rodney says. Shepard's like, well, how did she get here? And Weir thinks, maybe she swam over. And they're also like, but the pressure, the water. But Rodney's like, she's not human. So maybe she was able to just auto-heal herself the whole trip over? They think?
Sure. Yeah.
So neat.
Then we're back with Teyla. She's asking Shepard and Weir if there are any other wraith on board, but Shepard says there's no way to know for sure. You'd think that Teyla might be able to figure that out, but apparently not.
Maybe the strength of the Wraith Queen drowns out all the other wraiths.
Could be. Shepard says that she is not talking, of course. Why would we expect her to? But the only thing that she said is that you're all about to die. Dr. Weir says that may or may not be an empty threat, and there's no way to know, so Teyla says there's only one way to find out. They've got to let her go in, which nobody likes the idea of that, but Teyla reminds them that she's heavily sedated, and Teyla knows what she's dealing with this time, so let her in. Bring her in, coach. And they don't really have much of a choice, so that's what they're going to do. They bring Teyla to see the Wraith Queen, and Teyla tells the Queen, who's sneering at her, that she was caught off guard the first time and that's not going to happen again, but the Wraith Queen says that it doesn't matter. Everybody's fate is sealed. As Teyla gets ready to try to get into the Wraith Queen's head, she tells Ronan that if he has any reason to suspect she's not herself, don't hesitate to use the weapon that he's got pointed at both of them now. And so Teyla goes in. We get some quick flashes of the Wraith ship, and she tells them that she's leading the first wave of ships that attacked Atlantis during the war. This is a queen that had a huge amount of allegiance to her. She was very powerful, had lots of ships that were following her. Her ship crashed during the battle into the ocean, obviously, where we have now found it. She fed upon her entire crew because it was too deep to swim to the surface. And so then she's been in and out of hibernation for the past several centuries, waiting for rescue. But of course, none ever came. And then she sensed them coming, and that's kind of what woke her up. She sensed Teyla specifically, and saw it as her one chance to get freedom from her prison. And the water was, in fact, very crushing for her, but she was determined to get the hell out of this prison, so she managed to swim anyway, because she was on that ship for millennia.
That was a long time.
Indeed. She tried to go to the puddle jumper first, but she didn't have the gene to fly it. So then she used Dickinson to try to call for Shepard. So that's how she knew about Shepard, I guess. I missed that part before. Teyla is starting to struggle here, and all of a sudden she starts telling everybody, you are all about to die. Shepard says, that doesn't sound like Teyla. Ronan is ready to shoot her, but Teyla says she needs another second. So we're back in a flashback, and we see that the Wraith Queen has activated a self-destruct device on the Wraith Cruiser, and it's going to detonate within 2 hours. So it's a good thing that they did not just kill the Wraith Queen. Otherwise, they would not know about this. So, wasn't an empty threat that they were all going to die.
Yay?
Yeah.
At least they know.
Yep.
After this, everybody but Teyla and probably Ronan, who's still pointing his gun at the Wraith Queen, meet in the control room to talk about this. Weir says Teyla is resting. Shepard asks what the news is, and Rodney says, looks like the ancients chose this area of the ocean floor because the crust is very thin there. So they could drill right into the magma. It'd be cool. Except for, this turns out that a wraith activating a self-destruct on their ship is going to cause another global disaster for this planet. Like we've seen potentially so many times.
Indeed.
Not great.
Nope.
Rodney calls the explosion catastrophic. So not just us that's going to be affected. And Atlantis will also be affected. And also probably lots and lots of space whales. They're not space whales because they're in the ocean.
Whales.
Just whales. But not really whales. Fish that look like whales.
Indeed.
Anyway. So they've got to disarm the self-destruct, Shepard says. Rodney's like, yes, but we have to get there. And they have to do it without the jumper because that is not accessible to them right now. What about the rescue jumper that will likely come from Atlantis? They say it will not get there on time, no matter what. The cruiser underwater is less than a kilometer, the Lenka reports.
0.6 miles for anyone who cares.
Yeah. They're very impressed with the length she swam in such conditions. And they call her a formidable enemy. But Rodney says he has an idea.
And then, conveniently, it turns out that they have some underwater pressure suits. Just hanging there by the pool where the Wraith Queen came in.
Oh, how convenient.
10,000-year-old underwater pressure suits.
Yep. What could possibly go wrong? But that's what they're going to do. They're going to take those pressure suits and walk their way back over to the cruiser. And by we, ShRRT means he and Rodney. Rodney is not very thrilled to learn about the fact that he has to go too, but it makes sense because he's the one that's good with all the technology. So they're going to get suited up. And sometime later, the two of them are walking over. Rodney is hyperventilating. ShRRT tells him he's breathing too hard, which he sure is. He's going to use up all his oxygen way too quickly. He tells Rodney to just think of it like a walk on the beach. A beach that's about to explode. Rodney asks how that's supposed to make him feel better. ShRRT says it's not. It's just supposed to make you walk faster because we're on the clock here. And apparently Rodney is not going as quickly as ShRRT would like. Weir asks how close they are over the radio. ShRRT says that they're almost there. But they may need to have Teyla go in again. Weir does not like that idea. Teyla's fine with it, but Dr. Weir isn't. She thinks that it would be too dangerous for Teyla, but ShRRT rightfully points out so is exploding magma. So that's what's going to happen. Dr. Weir and Teyla head back to the Queen to try to get information on how to disarm the self-destruct, because the Queen isn't going to survive the blast either. Teyla says she's about to go in and try to get into the Wraith Queen's head, but the Queen tells her she's not strong enough, otherwise she would have figured all this out already. She can feel how weak Teyla is. And Teyla says, well, we shall see who is stronger.
ShRRT and Rodney make it to the Wraith ship and are in the midst of taking off their suits. Rodney is telling ShRRT he's probably not going to be able to disarm the self-destruct in time anyway, so we're not in a rush.
Great.
ShRRT tells him to not be negative until they find it. Rodney is impressed by how well preserved the ship is and thinks maybe they could just salvage it. They could get it running again. Wouldn't that be cool? But not right now, because they gotta worry about this explosion first. And besides, he says, you'll probably just go blow it up or slam it into a hive ship, and all my work would be for nothing.
He's not wrong.
No. ShRRT reminds Rodney they're on the clock, so they head towards the self-destruct device. Teyla is working on getting into the Wraith Queen's head. The Wraith Queen tells Teyla she's weakening. Weir worries and thinks she should stop, but Teyla says, no, my concentration just slipped for a moment. It's all going to be fine. But the Wraith Queen says, and in that moment I could have crushed you with a single thought. And maybe I will next time. But Weir insists there isn't going to be a next time, but Teyla says she's fine, and Weir says, we're shutting this down. Let's let Rodney do his thing. That's it. Done. I have spoken.
I have spoken!
Then we're back on the hive ship. The alarm is pulsing. They've found where it was set. Rodney says he's pretty sure that this is the device, which, yes, makes sense because it's glowing in red and pulsing, like we just said. I don't know how, but Rodney thinks it says that it has less than a half an hour. So that's bad. ShRRT tells him to just turn it off. Rodney can't just turn it off, though, because it's not accepting any commands of any kind. There must be some sort of a command code that needs to be entered in first, and so they would need that from the Wraith Queen, of course. ShRRT asks why he can't just figure it out, and Rodney's like, yes, it's normally something simple, like the number 1 or the letter A.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's like the code an idiot would put on his luggage.
And change the combination on my luggage.
But no, Rodney says that not in a million years could he figure it out, and he has quite a bit less than a million years. So they radio back to Dr. Weir, who asks if they've had any luck. They say no, and we've got less than 30 minutes. So Teyla is convincing everybody with this that she's got to go back in. Once again, it is the only way, otherwise everybody's going to die. But Dr. Weir doesn't like the idea still because she said she'd kill Teyla next time. But everyone's going to die anyway, Dr. Weir, come on. And Teyla promises that she's not going to let that happen. But Dr. Weir says, nope, we're going to give them more time. And she leaves. But Teyla's not going to listen to Dr. Weir, so she goes in anyway. When she gets in there, she tells Ronan that Dr. Weir needs your help in another room. Yeah, that's totally a thing she really said. Ronan asks, well, what about her? And Teyla says that she'll watch the prisoner. It's fine. What could go wrong? Come on, Ronan. How do you not think that this is at all worrisome, that the person who can be mind-controlled by the queen is going to start watching the queen?
I thought this was a little weird, too, because Weir just left, and Ronan will probably run? So won't he just catch up to her and then be like, what's the emergency? And she'll be like, what are you talking about? Why have you left?
Yeah. But I think we kind of eventually see that this is all a bit of a ploy anyway.
Yes.
So, yes, it does seem suspicious, but we get answers in a bit.
I was suspicious.
Indeed. The Wraith Queen asks if Teyla is fool enough to try again, and Teyla says she's got very little to lose. So she meditates again. The queen tries to resist, but it doesn't work just yet. And then, though, Teyla suddenly starts releasing all of the queen's bindings. But while she's doing this, while Teyla is freeing the queen realizes that there is actually something that Teyla is hiding from her. So they have a bit of a staring contest for a second, and then we get a flashback of Dr. Weir, ShRRT, and Teyla. ShRRT has apparently offered to go and fly the Wraith Cruiser elsewhere where it will be less damaging because Rodney has actually been able to tie in an Aquida generator to power it up. And so even though they haven't disarmed the self-destruct device, even though it might be a suicide mission, that's going to be their plan. He's going to take off, and it will not, in fact, destroy everybody after all. Teyla asks to be allowed to try again to get the command code. ShRRT says, you're in no condition to do that. End of flashback. So the queen smiles at Teyla because she is pretty confident that she's figured out a secret that she wasn't supposed to know.
Yeah.
And she swims back to her ship.
Stupid humans. God. Then we see ShRRT hanging out by the self-destruct button, and the Wraith Queen comes upon him. And she's like, you've got power back? And ShRRT says, yeah, it's gonna fly. So she says he's rewarded with a quick death.
Yay!
As she also turns off the self-destruct.
Yes.
But before she can quickly kill ShRRT, Rodney appears and starts pumping her full of bullets. She's still going, though, so ShRRT takes some shots at her, too, and finally she goes down.
It was all a ploy this whole time.
All a ploy to get her to
go
off.
over there and turn off the thing so that they could then kill her.
Your ruse, your cunning attempt to trick me.
Yep. So yay, it worked.
It did. And Teyla did beat her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless they only told Teyla part of the plan in case.
Maybe.
So maybe Teyla didn't beat her.
Yeah. They have a little back and forth about why Rodney didn't want to be the bait. And then they're like, cool, we're going to go back. Back to the drilling platform where they go see Teyla, who says she's feeling much better. Ronan is sad he could not be there to put all of his bullets into the Wraith Queen too. They're all impressed with how well Teyla did. She was able to deceive a Wraith Queen. And Teyla's like, well, there were many lives at stake, so I could summon the strength. Zelenka has gotten communications back up, Rodney says, so Atlantis had sent another jumper. It's going to be there pretty soon, so they're going to be able to get out of there. But no, they're not actually going to get out of there because Rodney's like, we haven't done what we came for. Now the Wraith is gone. There's no reason for us to not just continue working. So that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Ronan is like, is he serious? And yes, he is.
Of course he is.
Teyla, though, is going to take some time to rest, which is good. Ronan says he's going to take some rest, too. And ShRRT. So everyone's going to lay around while Rodney does all the work.
Yep. Dr. Weir's probably going to be there, too, and maybe Coleman.
Maybe Coleman, yeah. But at least they're going to get a little rest before that.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode.
End of the episode.
Wraith Queen dead.
Indeed. Did you like the episode?
Yeah, I did like the episode. It was fun. Sorry, wow.
Rave review.
It kept my attention. I thought it was pretty exciting. I was annoyed that Rodney wasn't trusting Teyla's instincts, but that's okay. It worked out pretty well if they're also going to get a free Wraith cruiser out of it, maybe? Yeah. And also, they can still work on their infinite energy, so it's sort of nice to have an episode where something goes wrong, but it doesn't completely destroy all of their plans, and they lose all their options to, like, try to explore further. So that was kind of a nice change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found it enjoyable. Always love a good Teyla-focused episode.
Indeed.
How about you?
Yeah, it was a good episode overall. I thought certainly better than the last episode because we didn't lose any major characters that we like better than most of the other major characters.
True.
But yeah, I thought it was a good plot line. I thought it was clever how they had their multiple layers of deceit at the end with the Wraith Queen. And yeah, I don't have a ton to say, but I did find it to be an enjoyable episode this time around.
Yeah, it's good.
Indeed.
Will we enjoy what's next?
Who knows? Probably not. It is Stargate SG-1 Season 10, Episode 19, Dominion. Just watched Jurassic World Dominion last night. That is an excellent movie. But here, in an elaborate plan using Vala as bait to capture Adria, SG-1 themselves are surprised when Baal intercepts Adria from under them to use in his own evil plan. That was the booklet. According to TVDB, SG-1 hatches an elaborate plan to try and capture Adria using Vala as bait.
I don't like these descriptions, and I'm going to tell you now because I watched the episode already. That gives away too much of what's happening at the beginning. But actually, no, it's probably better because I was pretty mad about the way the beginning happened. But we'll talk about that next week.
Fair. I have not watched it yet, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's fair. That's totally fair. No reason you should.
Fair.
Anyway.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you so much for listening to Stargatesing with Kathy and Mary. Our fully listener-supported program couldn't be done without you. Show your support by telling everyone you know how awesome this show is. Find us at stargatesing.space. Reach us by email, stargatesing@gmail.com. Find us on social media at Blue Sky. Get some merch, tinyurl/stargatesing. And finally, show your financial support at patreon.com/stargatesing. Thank you for traveling through the gate with us. Catch you next time on Stargatesing with Kathy and Mary.
I'm Mary.
I'm Kathy.
And you've been listening to Stargatesing, The End.
The end. Yay. Shepard, who's been grumpy and Ronan, who's been grumpy. Oh my God. I'm fine.